hate for me to give is that it's a good way to make your competitors flee in terror at your awesome marketing abilities. The idea behind the tool is that you use it to make, to learn what makes your competitors' campaigns tick and take the best things from their campaigns and you apply it to your own. You use that to drive more traffic at a lower CPA than anybody else in your industry. So does it work? Here's an example. I'm going to explain this chart later, but for right now, think of it as like one of those Boston Consulting Group 4 quadrant maps. So upper right is good. So probably everybody here is familiar with TripAdvisor. That's the red star in this map. So they're at the top right. They're getting about 60% of the available impressions for this destination that we've set up, Playa del Carmen. And right below it, you'll see a site that none of you have ever heard of called cplaya.com. It's a little niche travel site that we launched just about a week ago. So TripAdvisor's been around for quite a long time. For us to get about half their position in a week is a pretty significant accomplishment. We've done that using the techniques, which I'll talk about in this presentation. And just as an aside, you'll see everybody else down there, including Expedia, Best Day, all these well-entrenched travel sites, getting a relatively small amount of the available search engine traffic. So what are those techniques? 6 techniques which we'll go into: understanding the competition, which Loren just touched on; maximizing your coverage, we'll talk about that quite a bit. That's the concept there about getting your ads shown to as many people as possible; diagnosing campaign problems, I'll talk about that in a little bit of length; rating competitors' keywords, that's a favorite topic with a lot of people; optimizing your ad copy; and competitive benchmarking. So understanding the competition was the first one of those bullet points. So it'll probably come as no surprise to anyone in this room that you have to do your homework. The market research that you do ahead of time is vital to your success. However, when it comes to search advertising, most marketing managers ignore the step. Okay, and they either do it because they don't realize that the data is available, or they make the mistake of assuming that they know who their online competition is, which is virtually never true. If you do know who your online competitors are, it's very, very easy to take what's working for them and apply it to your own campaigns. If, on the other hand, you don't, then you're more or less just guessing. And as we've seen in industry charts that I've looked at, and some of the ones that I'll show you, you see that 95 to 98% of the sites out there are leaving a lot of traffic on the table. So that's a big mistake. The concepts here are that first, you want to focus on your top 3 to 5 competitors in any given market. So there's just too much noise out there. There's too many sites that you're competing with. You're going to go crazy if you try to keep up with all of them. So you find out who those 3 to 5 competitors are in every market. You study them. And so by market, what I mean is, it could vary, but generally it means a country. So UK is going to be considered a different market than the US. Same thing goes for search engines. Your Google efforts are going to be much different than your Yahoo efforts. You can't try to lump them in together. And then finally, you got to consider PPC and natural independently of each other. And just before I go on, does everybody know like what PPC and natural is? The differences between the two? Does anybody not know? How about that? A couple. Okay, so pay per click. When you go on Google, you'll see ads along the top and along the right-hand side of the search results. Those are sponsored ads. And so those are commonly referred to as pay-per-click. The natural results you see, so 1 through infinity, those are called organic, and those can't be bought, but they can be engineered. Okay? So here's an example. This is another industry map taken from AdGuru. It shows the top 10 competitors for this Playa del Carmen keyword group that we've set up. And what I've done here is I've assigned each one of these competitors a colored icon for comparison purposes. So I'm going to show you 3 other charts right after this. So when you see a colored icon, you'll know that they are a competitor that is one of the top 10 in Google US. And if, in contrast, you see a competitor who's just a little gray circle, that means they're somebody else that we haven't considered. So you don't have to memorize these, but you probably recognize quite a few of them. Let's take a look at Google UK. So you see only 4 colored icons, so only 4 of the top 10 are in common with Google US. Let's take a look at the natural results next. So for Google US, we have only 1 of those top 10 competitors. TripAdvisor is doing very well with the organic placement. And then finally, for Google UK, none of the above. So people in the UK are shopping at completely different sites when they go to the natural results. So this is kind of a key concept. You want to take this data and let it tell you who you're competing against. Don't assume. By the way, what you do with this data, if you're anything like me and presumably Loren, you'd run off and spend all afternoon studying every one of these sites. I do that in sessions whenever I try to launch a site. So the next bullet point was maximizing coverage. So what is coverage? This is a percentage of the available and relevant search impressions for which your ads are shown. So if you're advertising, in the Playa del Carmen region, you type in Playa del Carmen, you're going to see, anywhere from 8 to 11 ads along the top and the right on Google. And all those are your competitive set, your advertising set that you as a visitor are choosing from. So from the advertiser, he looks at it a little differently. He cannot tell what any one person is typing necessarily. What he's trying to do is, law of averages, get his ads shown as many people as possible. So we measure that number with coverage. So here's that chart again. Let me explain it now. Along the left-hand axis, you see coverage. So right here, TripAdvisor is hovering just below 60% coverage. What that means is 6 out of 10 times when you type in any keyword related to Playa del Carmen, there's Playa del Carmen hotels, the name of a hotel, etc., you'll see a TripAdvisor ad somewhere in that set. Same thing for C Playa, 4 out of 10 times. And for these guys, you see less than 2 out of 10 times, so 20%. So think about what that means. If your ads are being shown 2 out of 10 times, by getting your coverage to go up to 100, you can multiply your potential search engine traffic by a factor of 5. So that's pretty huge when most people think that they're maxed out. Along the bottom here, we go to this. This is the average rank. So 0 through 1, that represents the premium ads. So those are the most prominent positions on the Google and the Yahoo search engines, and they appear right above the natural. They get a tremendous click-through rate, typically 5 to 15%. You can get up there. They're very, very expensive. Below that, you see 1 through 8, and those are the ads on the right. So the click-through rates aren't as high, but generally the conversion rates can be a little bit better because people are being a little bit more selective when they click on those ads. So I want you to think of coverage as being representative of opportunity cost. So if you have 60% coverage, then you're missing 40% of your traffic. If you got 40% traffic, you're missing 60% of your traffic, and so on. So the important thing for us as search marketers is to figure out, okay, why might coverage be low? Or in other words, why are my ads not showing up to as wide of an audience as possible? So there's a lot of reasons for this, and we go into depth about these reasons with our subscribers. So these are the top reasons. So not targeting enough keywords. So if you don't have Playa del Carmen in your campaign, your ads aren't showing up. It's a big omission. Your bids might be too low, so you may be targeting that keyword, but your ad is appearing on the second page. This is a big problem because only about 15% of searchers click beyond page 1. Your ad copy might not be optimal. So your ad copy, we'll go into this a little bit more, but your ad copy determines your click-through rate. Your click-through rate determines your traffic. Okay, so if you have got a poorly worded ad, then you're not going to be getting as much search traffic as you might be. Campaign structural problems. This is a euphemism for human error. So if I make a mistake in my campaign, it's an oversight. If somebody else does it, it's just a huge, grossly negligent mistake. Okay, so I'll talk about one of these in the next slide, so I'll skip that one for now. Algorithm changes. So this one is out of your control, unfortunately. I'll give you an example. In July, Google changed their algorithm, and what happened was that a lot of advertisers' pay-per-click traffic dried up overnight, by a factor of 90%. Now, it turns out a few people discovered right away if you delete keywords and add them back again, you're able to get all your traffic and then some because nobody else had figured out the trick yet. So everybody's coverage, even Expedia and Orbitz, their coverage dropped from like 100% to 5%. And so for a period of a few weeks there, we were getting 100% of the traffic in amazing click-through rates. Was there a question back there? Okay. So you got to watch out for those things, and our tool is very, very effective at diagnosing when those things could be happening. And then finally, this is a new one, untargeted landing pages. If you guys click on some of the big travel sites, they have their links in a lot of places, and those links bring you right to the main search page. It's kind of a big mistake. What Google and Yahoo are now looking at are, they want to see how closely your landing pages align with the copy of your text. So if you're advertising Playa del Carmen and then you bring them to your main umbrella page where you send everybody, your click-through rate is going to go down and Google is going to penalize you for causing your ads to drop lower on the page and also causing you to pay more for placement. So there's a lot of other miscellaneous reasons. We won't get into those. So this is an example. This is an advertiser report from our service. So what I've done was I've taken cplya.com, so I have permission to do that. And what you can look at right in the right here, I don't know if this is this clear to everybody? Can you see that? That's a 40.5% campaign coverage. So that's the coverage number I was talking about. So we have the potential to make about 2.5 times more search engine traffic flow to our site if we need to. So right below there, you can see one of the reasons for that. My mouse here. The total number of keywords, we're appearing 12 out of 23 keywords. So for 11 of the keywords that we're monitoring this keyword group, we're actually not even appearing on the first page. This is not information that Google or Yahoo will give you, by the way, at least very easily. So that's a big problem right there. But if I, being the president, I know kind of this stuff, and any subscriber who's been around for a little while knows, if you see a lot of keywords appearing around the same coverage level, you immediately suspect one thing, and that is a human error. The budget for this site is probably not set to the level that Google is recommending, about 80% of that level. Turns out that's actually on purpose. We're making some changes on the site, so what we've done is we've brought the budget back a little bit just to reduce the draining from the fund. So let's go beyond the budget problems though. So we've got that we're not appearing in 12 out of 20 or 11 out of 23 keywords. What are those keywords? So right here, if you scroll down on our site, we don't have an internet connection right here. I can show you this live. What you do is you would scroll down that same report, click the Show Missing Keywords tab, and everywhere you see an X, that's a place where we're not appearing. So for Google US, we're not appearing the keyword Maya Riviera, Playa del Carmen Travel, Playa de Carmen Vacation. So these are big problems. Once you have that list in hand, though, you can go through each keyword and run through a checklist to figure out why you might not be appearing in that keyword and then go through and fix it. And the result is usually pretty immediate. Within a day or two, I've seen campaigns triple their coverage. So it's a tremendous way to improve your traffic. Okay, so quick show of hands. Do you think this is true or false? You can get most of the available traffic by bidding the most, or being the highest bidder. Raise your hand if you disagree with this statement. So, okay, okay, yes, about a minority of people. So this is actually a very common misconception. That is, this statement is false. Most people do believe if you bid the most for your keywords that you're going to get most of the traffic. And in the next slide, I'm going to actually prove that to every last one of you that is 100% false. And the reason for this is simple. There are too many competitors in these crowded categories, such as travel. So if you've got 300 competitors bidding for placement on the first page where there's 11 spots, you've got a problem. Google and Yahoo just simply do not have enough inventory to allot to all 300. So let's see what that looks like in practice. What I've done here is I've taken the keyword Riviera Maya, very, very popular keyword. And what I want you to do is take a look at these premium spots here. These are the people who are bidding so high that they're showing up at the very, very top of the search results. So we have Expedia, followed by everyone else. There's 9 advertisers bidding this high. Expedia is getting the vast majority of the traffic here, and the other 9 have to fight for whatever's left. So is there anybody from Barcelo.com here? Okay. So if you guys, yes, yeah. If you know anybody from Barcelo.com, have them call me. We can work something out.
So they're a competitor.
You're a competitor? Okay, then we'll keep it a secret in this room. I see this in virtually every keyword. There's just so many competitors, and there are always people who are willing to pay any cost to get traffic. And the end result is if they're just going by the Google and the Yahoo statistics that they're given, they're not getting any of the traffic. Okay, so the only way to get this information is to look at it using a third-party auditing tool. This is like I said before, this is kind of a favorite subject with a lot of people.
Why is Expedia getting the most coverage there and the other guys are not?
So there are several reasons for that. I have to guess because I don't have access to the campaigns, but I've been watching the travel industry for a while, and so Expedia and Orbitz, Priceline, and I think Travelocity have been advertising virtually the longest out of anybody. So Google and Yahoo, what they'll do is they'll take into account your past historical performance, Right? So if you've been advertising for a very long time, you're spending a lot of money with them, you have very high click-through rates, then they'll give you a boost and they'll give you more of their inventory because you're a reliable, known quantity. If you're just some guy who came in yesterday, Google's probably not going to give you a whole lot of inventory. They're not going to take it away from a preferred customer. So on our website, there's a free white paper that shows you how to get around those algorithms and kind of nudge your way in, into, dislodging some of those competitors. So we'll talk about that. Well, I'll touch on that in like the last slide. So what would you do if you could find out every one of your competitors' keywords? Well, the answer there is pretty easy. You target all of them, and you would potentially tap new sources of traffic. And so that's what this report's all about. What I've done here, it's probably a little bit hard to read, but I've clicked on 8 or 9 competitors here, very close competitors, and I run this report, and what it's doing is it's going through the entire database and finding every keyword that we've ever seen their ads in, right? And so some of them are pretty good. The lists that we generate vary in length depending on how niche-y your site is. I've seen lists for 15, 20,000 keywords. I've seen lists with 50. So, getting your ad copy right is of critical importance because it affects your click-through rate. Your click-through rate is a percentage of people who see your ad actually click on it. So that determines not only your traffic, but Google and Yahoo now both taken it into account when deciding how much of their inventory to allot to you. So you want to keep your click-through rates high. So the report that I'm going to show you next is a huge time saver. It lists all the ad copy pairing within a particular keyword. So you would use this report to seed your A/B tests instead of just guessing willy-nilly at what the best performing content is. Copy is for your industry. You'd use this report. So what I'm displaying here is for the keyword Riviera Maya. Here are the top 2 ads, for instance. And this, you can tell by the scroll bar that this is actually a very long report. There's several hundred ads here. So you would start looking at these ads and maybe even split testing close variations of them. So what's interesting about this is that for this site here, which is probably not all that well known, certainly not brand name, they have a very specific deal and they're doing very well with it. Whereas Expedia, where they have the brand name to fall on, they don't have a specific deal in place, and they're presumably also doing very well. So these are all different things we take into account to test. So this is the last subject here, competitive benchmarking. What do you do if you're going heads up against one or maybe just a few strong competitors? So unfortunately, this is more and more common, and the solution is you just have to engage in trench warfare and attempt to capture one keyword at a time, just like a general captures one hill at a time in war. So an army wouldn't be very effective without a map, and you won't be very effective without some kind of sensing tool to tell you, where you're doing well and where you're doing not. So that's the purpose of this report. What I've done here is I'm benchmarking cply.com versus tripadvisor.com, right? And so in the top right of this chart here, you can see all these keywords we're doing better than TripAdvisor. So our ads are appearing more often and higher ranked. Down here, we're in kind of the opposite camp. So our bids are maybe not high enough, our ad copy is not good enough, we're just not getting enough coverage. So these are all problem keywords. So that's pretty much it. I know I had to wrap it up here. If you guys have any questions that aren't answered in the Q&A, you can come up and see me afterwards. There's also little brochures. I put them by the door and up here if you'd like those as well. And then finally, just go to the website and contact us at any time if you have questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Take a moment to introduce Mike. This is the secret sauce that I use in the sense of when I go into a new market. Fundamentally, and I know he's being very nice about it, but if you know your competitors' keywords, you know their best performing ads, you know what ads that they're using, who's in your space, and you can benchmark yourself against them, what salesperson, what property would not want the opportunity to be able to know how to compete against the competition? Because you're not reinventing the wheel. So why not take advantage of knowledge of what your competitive set is doing? And I pull keyword baskets from my competitors. I look at their ads and then look at how well they're performing, and I balance myself. I may have a very similar ad or very similar keyword campaigns because it worked for somebody, and then I improve upon it. As he says, it's trench warfare. And you take one moment at a time, and it's all nice, but remember, you're not necessarily competing with somebody down the road, but you may also be competing with somebody that's actually selling you. And it does you no real benefit when they're selling you as you compared to selling you for you. There is a defined difference. And this gives them a chance for between the two. Yes?
Question. If it's important to have a good click-through rate so that the search engines allocate you the maximum coverage, why would you want to have an exhaustive list of all possible keyword combinations? Because a lot of them are not going to be getting the click-throughs that would be necessary.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well actually...
Or maybe I'm getting it wrong, understanding it.
Yeah, it's a little counterintuitive, right? So to get longer keyword lists, you need longer keyword phrases. So let's take an example, travel. Probably a lot of you hit that keyword with your ads. Very, very broad keyword, very, very high traffic, probably a horrible converter for you. If you spend a lot of money there, you're probably wasting a lot of money there, right? Let's take the opposite example. Playa del Carmen, cheap resorts, 5 keyword phrase. Somebody looking there is obviously looking to buy. They're looking for shopping and comparison information. You're going to get less traffic, but the value of that traffic to you is much, much higher. So if you have, let's say, a lot of these smaller keyword phrases, because let's face it, there's only a few of those really big, broad terms. So if you have a lot of keywords in your account, then you have a lot of these longer keyword phrases, right? So you want to be targeting those and getting your click-through rate very, very high in those. Now, it is true that you're not going to be getting 1,000 searches a day for those longer keyword phrases. You may get 100 a month, but Google still looks at your historical click-through rate. So if people click on that ad, say 15 times in the last month, your click-through rate is, out of 100 searches, maybe it's 15%. It's very, very good for you on average. So those are the keywords, those niche keywords. They're much easier to get a high click-through rate than they are with the broad ones.
As you can tell, he has a lot more to tell you about how to use all this. As a matter of fact, his white paper that he has available on his website, I turned into kind of my guideline as to bidding strategy, and it has proved incredibly profitable to not have to bid on the top position. Enough said, we have a lot more to tell. Mike Wiley. I've worked with Mike. Historically, he is phenomenally knowledgeable about the space. I'll let him tell you his own bio as to where he has come from and such, but be rest assured it's a unique combination of hospitality, hotel, direct experience, and internet marketing, which, as we all know, is a very hybrid combination because the two is very successful. So with no further ado, Mr. Mike Wiley.
Good morning. I started Standing Dog about a year and a half ago after I've been with 4 years with Wyndham Hotels as their VP of e-commerce. And before that, I spent 2 years with Hilton as their senior director of e-business. And before that, with an agency, so I've kind of come back full circle after getting a lot of good hotel experience to help hotels and brands and travel sites market their hotels online. So our agency is completely just focused on hospitality. That's all we do. That's what we know best. So what I wanted to do is take a little bit different approach. Ad Guru is excellent, and I didn't include them in mine specifically because Rich was going to be here. It's a very good and sophisticated tool, and that's a lot of his sales I think are to agencies because you really do need a lot of expertise I think to use it. Although it gets somebody like Loren, and he can pick it up pretty quickly. So. The things I want to focus on are what I call almost free or very little cost. And one of the main things we do first is a web positions report. And on this chart, this is really the only thing that costs anything for you to do. You can input your competitors' URL address and keywords and then compare them against the top search engines. And then it'll tell you, put in keywords, and I just used a very generic example here, but Omni Hotels, Marriott, and Starwood, put in San Diego Hotels, and it'll tell you the position in, this one is particularly, it's Google, but you can pick any engine. And best position 12, Marriott 10, Starwood 5. So what that tells us is that, for Omni, is that we need to do a little bit more work on their end, say, to get them higher ranked on the pages. I put in the address there and did that on all these so you can see and get some more information on those. Google keyword, again, this is a free tool within Google that you can use and do a couple different things. One, you can input a competitor's URL and see the types of keywords that they rank well for, and then the competition for those keywords in the search volume. Again, free tool that you can use, very simple. Then you can put in particular keywords up here on this version, and it'll show you, make other suggestions and recommendations, again, to show you the competition for those keywords. So you can, and the search volume, so you can get an idea of which ones you might want to target, which ones are going to cost more or cost less. Same thing with Yahoo. They have a bid tool that you can put in a keyword, and it'll show you what the current level of cost per click they're paying. Over there, I think this one is like $1.35. So it'll give you an idea what your competitors are paying, and then I include a little chart here that we use a lot just to put in, if you had your spend, what the CPC is, what the click is, conversion rate, bookings, rooms revenue, and ROI, based off these variables here of what your ADR is, your average length of stay, so what your total revenue per booking comes out to be. And I can give anybody that little chart. It's simple, but it's a nice thing to see. We try to target a $10 return for all of our customers at a minimum. And so you can see that at a $1.50 cost per click, then they're not exactly meeting their ROI, but at 90 cents they are. This is a neat tool that we recently came upon. It's called, if everybody familiar with Firefox, have another version of Internet Explorer? Okay. Well, you can download that. It's another browser, and they have a lot of neat plugins. And this one's an SEO plugin. Again, it's another free tool. And then you pull it in, and you click on just click to get it started, and then it'll pull back a ton of data about each link that returns. So I have a little bit better. Well, this is what it will show you for each listing: is your page rank, the age of the domain, the links coming into it from Yahoo, education links, government links, page links, delicious tags, and delicious I'll talk more about in the next presentation. Alexa ranking, which is a little suspect. Your directory, blog lines, all this stuff. Just great bit of information that it can pull back. Here's a little bit more. It shows you again how many links are coming into the site. It's Google PageRank, and Google PageRank being one of the top things that you shoot for to help improve your listings by getting good qualified links in your site. And then when I saw this, I wanted to make one mention of something that we've focused on a lot. Years ago, I was co-chairman of the HSMI Hotel and Marketing Committee. One of our biggest things was protecting your brand. And in Google, you can request that no one is allowed to bid on your brand name. So you see right here, Ritz-Carlton San Juan. If the Ritz was filed a complaint, then Cheap Caribbean would not be able to use their branded term in the ad keywords. They can still buy it, they can't use it. So just a little side note there. Another thing that just came out, another free tool that's kind of interesting, is Google Custom Search Engines. So this is something where you can go into Google, into the tool set, and create your own search engine. You could use it on your own site, but then they want to show their ads next to it. But what we've done is just used it to test a few things. I can go in and I could put in, for a whole competitive set, all the URLs within one, say, Puerto Rico. Put in every hotel in Puerto Rico, and then start to do search keywords to see where we rank against those. It's just another kind of interesting way to see how you compare directly against your competition and filter out TripAdvisor and Expedia and all those others. So I've created this one, Hotel Search Machines. It's only direct. It's got about 1,600 URLs in it, and we keep adding to it every day just to keep it up to date. Link tracking. This is another tool using Google. You put in link and then www.thecompetitorsite.com. You can pull back a list of all the sites that are linking to that one. And what we do is we'll go in, we'll put in a competitor's name, and then see where all they're linking. And we'll use that site, use this feature to go and find where our advertisers are listed or are advertising. Or excuse me, our competitors are listed or advertising. So this one, these examples, so look at Condado Plaza, pull up and see that they're on escapetopuertorico.com. So that tells me that might be a site that I possibly want to be advertising on or getting listed on. And again, link tracking is sizing up your competition. There's a multitude of free sites where you can get listed, and that's again part of my other presentation. But I want to show this one here. This wikitravel.org. It's completely free place to list your properties, your hotels, your attractions, whatever, as long as it's direct, to the property. And by looking here, I typically can see some of the properties that I think are a little bit more savvy, because if they have a listing here, then they know about it, and either their agency or someone at the property understands enough that they're getting listed there. And that's when I'll use and finally come out of Plaza and say, I want to go find out where else they're linking from to make sure I'm wherever they are. Google Alerts is another great way to track your competition. Go in and put in search terms and then get email once a day or once a week wherever there's a mention of your competitor. Maybe there's a press release or a mention in a blog or something somewhere. It's good to do for yourself.